I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about I moved on, but I'm not over my ex.
It's complicated.
It really can be, because a lot of times we feel like we've moved on, we're doing much better, and then things can happen where we realize we're really not over the situation.
Healing is not always linear, and a lot of times there's ups and downs, and it can be the simplest things that trigger us back to these memories of our ex that make us feel that grief and longing for our ex much more intensely in a certain period. It can be things we have no control over, like a dream or something that reminds us of them. So it's completely normal to have these ups and downs.
Absolutely. Now today, I've got two interesting emails. And the first one is really cool because this is from a guy that I did a video on 8 years ago in April. Wow. So this is pretty cool because we launched the channel about 9 years ago. And it's interesting to get an update from somebody this long ago. So let's see what they said. They said, "Hey, Coach Craig, been about close to 8 years since I've reached out to you about my situation." Like I said, his video came out in April of 2017. Context: you made a video about it. I guess you never loved me. That's the name of the video. So you can go back and watch and look at all the changes he made and what he was going through 8 years ago. Because a lot of times we don't realize you're in a breakup now, but you're going to have a future 8 years from now. Where are you going to be at 8 years from now?
Yeah, and progress, it's one of those things where it happens so gradually. Sometimes when you're in it, you don't realize it. But looking back and reflecting back on everything that you've accomplished, on how much you've changed, then you really see how much the things in your life really impact you. Your choices impact you. What you expose yourself to impacts you.
Yep. And your consistency to personal growth impact you. Okay. I want to say thank you for the tough love. Me? Would I do that? No. Never tough love for me. Sometimes. Sometimes.
You have a very direct kind of approach.
Well, I try to use humor, and sometimes people can't find the humor in it until later. But listen, life is short. We don't live forever, and humor is therapeutic. Margaret used to say that all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Humor is therapeutic. So say, okay, if Margaret says it's okay, we can joke about it, right? I want to say thank you for the tough love you gave me in opening my eyes to see the truth. Ever since the breakup, I became a new man. I finished college with no debt, already in a 3-year committed relationship, and I've been thriving in both my social and my professional life. You have made me stop and realize all the faults I needed to work on, and I worked on myself for 4 to 5 years to become the best person I could be. Eternally grateful for your support as you changed my life. I just wanted to send this message to thank you. Take care. And I was so happy to get that message from somebody from that long ago. You know, it's great. And he probably does watch the videos here and there sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I'll say it's all the work that he put in, because we're just here relaying information, right? We're just kind of the carriers, the messengers. It's really you all that really pay attention, that put in the work, that apply this stuff to your life, that show up to therapy or the things that you need to do. So really huge props to him for making a lot of positive change in his life. And all of this is possible for everybody watching.
I love to see it, though. Now, I've got a second email here, and he's the one that gave me the idea for this video because he is still struggling with his breakup a bit. He said, "Hi, Coach Craig. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to reach out and share a bit about my journey, as well as ask for your insights. I've been in a committed and happy relationship with my new girlfriend for almost 3 years now, and things have been going really well. We've built a strong, healthy connection, and I'm really happy where we are. However, here we go. However, I still find myself dealing with my ex. Even though we broke up 5 years ago in 2020, she still seems to want my attention whenever we cross paths. This is interesting.
That is interesting.
I've already blocked her and her family. He says they're all toxic and full of drama. But despite that, I still get these occasional encounters. After she learned about my new girlfriend, she quickly jumped into her own relationship, but she still wants my attention in this 2025, which leaves me feeling confused at times. Isn't that interesting?
I'm also curious what he means as to her wanting his attention. In what ways?
I know. It would have been helpful if he gave us more
Yeah.
context, where they're bumping into each other, how it's happening,
Right.
and what she's saying and doing. Some specific examples
Right.
would have been a lot more helpful for us here. Looking back, I know I wasn't in a healthy place with my ex. I begged, made grand gestures, and even showed up at her house to try and win her back. Oof. That's, I think, number 1 on our breakup sins list. I stopped all that in March of 2022 and have been focused on moving forward since then. I've already done some work on myself, watching various coaches in 2021, including some relationship coaches who weren't as insightful.
Happens.
All of them. Huh? Who said that? Huh? But then I found your channel in the same year, and it really resonated with me, especially the insights with you, Coach Margaret, and Coach Victoria provide. I know I've made a lot of progress. Thank you for all your value you provide, Coach. I look forward to hearing your perspective on this. Please make a video on this with a bunch of exclamation points. Okay, so he is wondering, why am I struggling with this breakup when I have a new girlfriend of 3 years that I'm happy with?
Yeah.
And this breakup was 5 years ago. What do you think?
My first thought is breakups can be traumatic. You know, I'm thinking just about the behavior that he listed after that breakup, begging, I imagine there was crying, showing up to the house. You know, feeling that intense feeling of abandonment can really leave a mark on you, and it can take a long time to fully get to that place where, you know, you're able to kind of move on and not look back. And sometimes with healing, it doesn't even work quite that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're really thinking about it, when these things resurface, it can be hard to just kind of block it out of your mind. And so a part of me here wonders, is she really trying to be intrusive and just getting into a relationship because he got into a relationship? Or is this all shaped by his perspective because of his experience in the breakup, so on and so forth? So in this situation, it seems like he's aware that he's with somebody new. Well, new, 3 years is quite a while to call new, right? Yeah. And it sounds like it's something that's healthy, that they have communication, and sometimes that bit of chaos, he called her family toxic and dramatic. Sometimes that chaos is enticing. When we have a little bit too much calm and too much peace, something that's happening over here can kind of grasp our attention and can seem shiny and entertaining and like it can stir something up.
Yeah.
So that's how I see this scenario. It seems like the ex bumping into her, it kind of stirs something up, and that's okay, that's normal. But it's all about, are you going to take the bait or not? You know, how do you react and respond in this situation?
Yeah. All of that is absolutely true. And I can't help but wonder if there's some part of him that still misses her and would consider being with her, right? Because I think if he was really closed off to the idea of it, he would be like, doesn't matter. I bump into her. I don't feel that anymore. I don't think that anymore. You know, there are a couple of exes that I could bump into and it would not stir anything up for me because I would feel like, no, there's no way I'm going to go back to that, or, you know, to dating that person again. And so I think there must be some part of him in the back of his mind that thinks, I could be with this person, or I miss this person, or I could still see myself with them. And that's why it feels like he hasn't really let go yet. Maybe there are things about his new partner that aren't as fulfilling as they were with this other partner, or maybe something is missing in this new relationship. Hard to say. He sounds pretty happy, but he's struggling with this, even though the breakup was what, 3 years? No, 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago. But we also don't know what is going on. Like, how often is he bumping into her? Where is this at? Are they bumping into each other on the street, at a church, at the store? I don't know what's going on there. And it would have been helpful if he said what she's actually doing.
Right. Right.
If she's blowing kisses to him, it's a lot different than a nod.
Right.
You know what I
right.
mean?
And it's a lot different than showing up at his door.
Yeah.
Right. So it's how much can you really be able to set some boundaries with this person, ignore this person if you need to, right? Because here it sounds like there's a healthy relationship that he would like to protect. This is clearly causing him some distress. He's looking for some guidance on how to handle it. And in my opinion, he has something good going for himself here. The chaos is enticing, but it sounds like it's worth setting up proper boundaries with that ex and being able to focus on the good that's in front of him.
Yeah, had he given us some examples here, we could have maybe looked at what boundaries he might need to set in place, or things he might need to say or do to, keep her at bay. We don't really know what's happening.
Right.
It was very vague.
And sometimes these kind of situations can kind of morph our thoughts. Sometimes we start to think, man, are these feelings that are coming up, does this mean that I'm meant to be with my ex? Does this mean that I don't love my current partner?
Oh, good point.
Or that I'm betraying my current partner? So sometimes our anxiety can cause us to attach some meanings to what we're going through that might not really be there, or might not actually really impact our lives or be what we want or is meant for us, right? So consider these kind of situations. Think about, what you want in your relationships. And just because you're bumping into somebody, just because somebody's trying to come back into your life from the past, doesn't mean you're meant to be with them. Think about the good choices for yourself, the mature choices for yourself, what you want to go towards, instead of, focusing on the things that you're not trying to be a part of anymore.
Yeah. Something is going on within him that he's got to really reflect on and think about, to figure out what's causing him to unconsciously drift towards this and think about it and, feel kind of stuck with it. And he's got to explore that. We can't make specific recommendations because they were so vague in what he's asked here. All that we could say is really reflect on these things and figure out, okay, what is it that is keeping you stuck? Do you still have romantic feelings? Is this door still open for you in some way, shape, or form? Because I feel like if it was completely closed, he wouldn't be thinking about it like this.
Right. And it seems like in the wording of how he's written this that he understands that the ex isn't a good choice for him.
Yeah.
Just saying, it seems like he thinks that she's doing this on purpose. So that already kind of implies that she's an instigator type, at least in his point of view. So, and mentioned the toxic family and things like that. So it seems like there's a part of him that recognizes this person is not who I'm pursuing right now, not who I want to pursue, but something that's enticing, something that I'm thinking about, something that's happening in my life. So it's normal to kind of go through these ups and downs. It's normal to even miss people who weren't good for us. And it's normal to miss people while we're in relationships, right? But we have to make conscious choices to care and protect the relationships that we have, to be honest with ourselves, to work through things in therapy if we need to be honest with our partner if it gets to that point, right? So these are all things that happen in relationships and as we move on past breakups.
Yeah. And we don't know exactly what she is saying or doing to try and get his attention here, because sometimes people can blow those things out of proportion too. That maybe he's kind of imagining some stuff here based on how she's acted in the past. Only speculating because we don't have any details to explore that. But as you could see, there are a lot of people that will feel like they have moved on, but they're still not over their ex in some ways. So that might be something you're feeling or experiencing, and it's normal. Feelings come and go. Just look at what might be behind those things. Fears, desires, things like that.
Right. And referring back to the first email, look at how much you've progressed. right? Think back into how you were in that relationship, in that breakup. Think about your relationship now. Remember that progress. Think about where you're at now and make decisions based on where you're at now.
Yeah, that video, his video was called "I Guess You Never Loved Me." Go back and look at that one.
Yeah.
You'll see some good stuff in that one. All right, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.